to the home of independent, fearless, and credible journalism. Tonight on Joy News Prime, 4 days after armed robbers shot an ambulance driver and robbed a pregnant woman in labor, latest information shows a paramedic was also sexually assaulted.
Force it open, shoot the vehicle, force it open, enter the vehicle, rob the poor girl of her telephone with whatever was on her, fondle her breast, force her into the driver compartment.
Meanwhile, family of slain AMT personnel who was shot by suspected armed robbers while on official duty is calling for expedited investigation into the incident that led to his death. Lawyers for Electoral Commission say they do not intend to have the EC chairperson Jin Mensah subjected to questions by lawyers for the 2020 NDC presidential candidate John Mahama, insisting Mr. Mahama has failed to provide evidence to back his case.
We are saying that we are not calling any further witness. If the court decides to treat our witness statement as hearsay evidence, well, the court is entitled to, but we are not leading any further evidence. We are not calling evidence.
Also in this bulletin, shortage of tomatoes in Kumasi market as importers and transporters of the commodity embark on strike. And
we are going to park our vehicles. There won't be any tomato coming from Burkina Faso to this country.
In business, price of crude oil surges to pre-pandemic level after hitting an all-time low.
It looks like it's working, and it will work for the short term. As to long term, there are too many variables that affect oil prices.
My name is Aisha Ibrahim. Joy News comes to you live from our studios in Kokomlemle on your digital terrestrial TV, because we're free to air on Go TV channel 144 and on DSTV channel 421. Many thanks for choosing us. Let's begin from the Supreme Court, where lawyers for Electoral Commission say they do not intend to have EC chairperson Jin Mensah subjected to questions by lawyers for 2020 NDC presidential candidate John Mahama. They insist Mr. Mahama has failed to provide evidence to back his case that no candidate won the December 7 election. Mr. Mahama's lawyers, however, say the EC chairperson is evading cross-examination. Court correspondent Joseph Akable has the rest of the story.
The petitioner's third witness, Rojo Metununu, was cross-examined by lawyers for the respondents on Monday. They centered mainly on the claims that he had been instructed by the Electoral Commission chairperson to go over and consult with Mr. Mahama, as well as issues relating to some summary sheets that he had certified, some of which he indicated he certified in error.
A functioning mobile phone.
Yes, I had an iPhone that was functioning.
Yes. And indeed, it was the same phone that you allege you used in an attempt to reach the EC chair.
At various times, yes. In some instances, I got her, and at other times, her phone was off.
Now, I'm putting it to you that nowhere in your witness statement do you demonstrate with numbers how your alleged errors in the figures impacted in any material way the final outcome of the 2020 presidential elections. Nowhere.
My Lord, it's not a matter of figures. it's not a matter of figures being put in my witness statements. It has more to do with a trend of anomalies, several anomalies. And we were seeking a forum for a proper presentation of those issues.
Okay.
We were seeking a forum.
Mr. Chikata then informed the court that the petitioner had closed his case and the Electoral Commission was called upon to invite its witnesses, but it informed the court rather that it does not intend to call Jane Mensah, the chairperson who has filed a witness statement, to testify because it believes that no case has been made meriting a response.
If a party who has served a witness statement does not call the witness to give evidence at the trial or put a witness statement in as hearsay evidence, any other party may put that witness statement in as hearsay evidence. So, my lords, we are saying that we are not calling any further witness. If the court decides to treat our witness statement as hearsay evidence, well, the court is entitled to, but we are not leading any further evidence. We are not calling evidence.
Mr. Akoto-Ampao supported this particular view and indicated that the second respondent does also not intend to call its witness, but Mr. Chikata disagreed.
We do not intend to call any witness.
Okay, then you prepare.
And my lord, let me complete.
Order.
We do not intend to call any witness because in our view, they have not satisfied the burden of proof. So we can't be forced to call any witness.
It is our respectful submission that counsel for the first respondent does not have it open to him to take the course that he just proposed to this court. Order 36 Rule 4(3) that he refers to specifically says, where the defendant elects not to adduce evidence. In these proceedings, the defendant has put in a witness statement.
Mr. Mohammed's legal team say that the Electoral Commission chairperson is evading cross-examination.
There's not even a claim. They stated clearly that they are not going to call any witnesses, even though they have submitted witness statements. Now, I don't know whether it's evading, running away, whatever, but they are avoiding or running away or evading the cross-examination of Mr. Chikata. We should remember that this is the EC, which has a constitutional duty to the people. They have an obligation to account to us for our stewardship. And they say they are not going to take the witness stand. Well, tomorrow we'll see how our lordships will rule on this.
President Akufo-Addo's lawyers, on the other hand, disagree.
By now, whatever evidence that the petitioner has put before the court, once the case is closed, it is believed that they have brought all their evidence and they have made such a strong case. And so it should actually be to the disadvantage of the respondents if they say that they don't even intend to call witnesses to adduce evidence. But you notice that the petitioners are not too happy about it. They want literally to compel the respondents to bring in witnesses to, I don't know, adduce some evidence that may help the petitioner in his cause. The court has adjourned, as you heard, to tomorrow morning, and we'll listen to the legal arguments on both sides.
Hearing resumes on Tuesday, and the main business of the day will be the legal arguments as to whether or not the respondents, i.e. the Electoral Commission and President Akufo-Addo, whether or not they can opt not to call witnesses onto the stand to be cross-examined in court. Reporting for Joy News from the Supreme Court, my name is Joseph Akable.
And back in the studio, my name is Aisha Ibrahim. Away from the Supreme Court, family of the slain EMT personnel who was shot by suspected armed robbers while on official duty is calling for expedited investigation into the incident that led to his death. Abraham Tete was attacked and shot more than 6 times by the robbers on the dawn of last Thursday while he was transporting a pregnant woman from the Akuse Government Hospital to the Eastern Regional Hospital in Koforidua. He was rushed to the Kolebu Teaching Hospital where he died on Saturday. But 4 days on, the police is yet to arrest anyone in connection to the incident. Joy News' Manuel Kranting was at Chopoli to speak to his family, who want the perpetrators to be brought to book immediately.
Honestly speaking, we are all at a loss. And
Sorrowful scenes that welcomed us to the family house of late Sergeant Abraham Tete at Chopoli. Friends and sympathizers from far and near had come to commiserate with the grieving family. For many who had heard the news, it was the death of Abraham, the EMT personnel. But for the family, it is the loss of a pillar. He would never turn down a request for assistance from any family member. He really was our backbone. I am a man and I shouldn't be crying, but Abraham meant so much to me. It's only God who knows what happened. But Abraham's life's journey was not without a struggle. His 70-year-old mother, Awunye, tells me of how she sold her belongings and did all sorts of menial jobs to see her son through school.
I used to hawk biscuits with his grandmother at Accra, just to get something to take care of his educational expenses. He would even sometimes join us to pick firewood and sell, all just to put him through school.
AB, as he was affectionately called, was truly drawn to his family. His 90-year-old grandmother revealed how he transferred from the Tamale to Somanya station of the ambulance service just to be close enough to take care of her.
Tamale, first yata, no ani yata neke jebia meke, enajimi imbehiwa.
He was earlier stationed at Tamale, but applied to transfer to Somanya.
She dreads the reality that Abraham has taken an early flight to the way of all men. While he was alive, there was hardly any dull moment around him.
He was a very humble man. He always creates some fun. at our family gatherings because he could sing and dance very well.
For the support system that he was, Abraham's family will have nothing short of an expedited investigation leading to the arrest and prosecution of his killers.
The information we are gathering now indicate that the whole thing started somewhere 11 p.m. and Abraham was shot somewhere 2 something to 3. Even when, according to source, Abraham was second car. That means the armed robbers. And it took them about 2 hours to kill my cousin. We want the police administration to investigate it very wide. We are not taking anything out. Right from the working place to everywhere, they should at least investigate it very well. And these perpetrators of this heinous crime should be brought to book.
For Emmanuel A. Tete, who's spokesperson for their family, they want government, and for that matter, the police service, to expedite investigations and bring the perpetrators to book. From the family house of Abraham Tete, the slain EMT official of the National Ambulance Service, here at Chopoli. My name is Manuel Cranting for Joy News.
Chief Executive Officer of the National Ambulance Service, Professor Ahmed Zakaria, says armed robbers who shot and killed the ambulance driver did not only rob a pregnant woman in labor, but also sexually assaulted a paramedic who was with the team. He says the morale of the National Ambulance Service has been dampened by the horrific incident.
Honestly speaking, we are all at a loss, and up to now we've not recovered. Because nobody will have thought that an ambulance carrying a sick patient will be attacked. One will have assumed that maybe they mistook it maybe for a police vehicle. But for the armed robbers to get close, identify it as an ambulance, shoot the driver, and still shoot the vehicle, force the patient compartment open, see a patient lying on a stretcher, being attended to by a paramedic, and still go ahead to rob them and mishandle them is something that definitely we are yet to come to terms with. We never will have believed that such a thing can happen. Initially, people were trying to rationalize that perhaps they mistook the vehicle as a police vehicle, but subsequent events showed that that wasn't the case, because they really got closer, they saw it was an ambulance. And after they shot the driver, who was himself a paramedic anyway, they still forced themselves into the patient compartment. And after everything, they forced the poor lady to go and switch off the engine because they felt that the siren and the beacon light was drawing attention. So obviously, it's something that we have to condemn in no uncertain terms.
Actually forced one of the workers to go and put off.
Absolutely. So what happened was that after they shot the vehicle, the driver definitely was injured, so he could not move. So now the patient, the paramedic, they were in the patient compartment, and normally it's locked. So they had to force it open, shoot the vehicle, force it open, enter the vehicle, rob the poor girl of her telephone with whatever was on her, fondle her breast, force her into the driver compartment to switch the engine off so that the beacon light will be off so that it will not draw attention. Obviously, it was really tragic and very pathetic. And it's not something we can even rationalize and say that perhaps they thought it was a police vehicle.
There's even an element of sexual assault, you know. There.
Definitely. So the lady is really traumatized.
Who did they assault? Is it
the paramedic? You know, there were 2 of them. The driver, who is a male, and the female who was in the patient compartment attending. Will have lost options, taking advantage of this misfortune to see how some of the outstanding issues could be addressed, i.e. the risk allowance issues and then the life insurance issues. Those are issues that cannot be decided immediately, but with a lot of...
Are they calling for more allowances and more insurance?
No, definitely when such things happen, there will be agitations.
Okay.
So we're taking the opportunity to assure them that their services are being recognized by everybody. And if you look at the social media reactions, everybody is in solidarity with them. That shows that the Ghanaians appreciate whatever is being done. And with that, definitely the political will will be immediately available to address some of the challenges that they are complaining about.
Still on health, 464 people have died from COVID-19. This was after 7 new deaths were reported by the Ghana Health Service in the latest data capturing event on 4th of February 2021. There were 765 new cases on the day, sending the country's active cases to 6,411. There are 112 people who the service says are suffering severe COVID-19 symptoms, with 32 people said to be in critical state. Meanwhile, at the Konsombo International School, the number of COVID-19 cases have gone up by 37. This brings total number of cases to 79, comprising 74 students and 5 members of staff. With cases rising among students and young children, there have been calls for the shutdown of schools. Virologist at the KCCR, Dr. Michael Owusu, wants government to take a firm decision on school children below 6 years. We'll be speaking to Dr. Michael Owusu, who joins us via Zoom. Doc, many thanks for your time. You're concerned about children below age 6 attending school, but why only age 6?
Yeah, good evening to you, Aisha. As we have reported, and across the country, you have seen that there are some possible increases in cases across school. But my worry is that for the upper primary, junior high school, senior high school, and tertiary school, by the protocols that the GS has ruled out and for who the educational service has ruled out, they are able to comply to some level, which will mean that even if there are infection, possibility of isolation and contact tracing is possible to some percent, to some level, this is workable. But my major concern is those who are 6 years and below. It looks as if implementation of the protocol is not very practical. These are children that ever since they opened, if you have observed across board, wearing of masks is very difficult. 1 year, 2 year kindergarten children, it's almost extremely difficult to ensure that they observe the protocol. But the difficulty is that these children are now going homes to their parents and then infecting parents' home, and parents are rather getting sick and being hospitalized. So although they may have short-term fever, they may recover quickly, but then they don't spare their parents at homes. And this is where we need to look at. If we have to tackle schools, I don't think that closure of all schools is necessary. But we may begin by looking at the kindergartens and the lower primary, where we think that it is extremely difficult to fully implement the protocol. And then perhaps close these ones and then observe how the numbers will play out. As you have mentioned, for me, the main outcome measures, which is the hospitalization, the deaths, and the new cases, does not seem to be improving. Things are getting worse, which will mean that the announcement made by the president needs to be enhanced for us to step up other measures that will ensure that we are able to reduce the new cases coming up, reduce hospitalization, and reduce deaths. And for me, if the school has to be looked at, then we have to look at the kindergartens and below. I think that practicality at the schools is something that does not seem achievable. This is my concern.
Well, so far, how many children have tested positive, as discovered by KCCR?
Well, we are still doing something in the range of 10%, 15% from the last time I said. The numbers are not much because most of the time, children we test are those who are symptomatic. They have symptoms, disease. They visit the hospitals and then these are tested. It's not a random testing where you want to understand or know the prevalence of disease across board to enable you to take a decision. So if you want to use the symptomatic prevalence to make a decision, it's extremely difficult. Unless there is a randomized sample, then you can make a better estimate. But the fact that even some children fall sick and come to the hospital should tell you that they got it perhaps from other contact who may be well. So if you are to expand the coverage and test wide range of children, then it's very possible. I mean, for those children who are in boarding and closed places where they don't go home, it's a bit better to manage them at their facilities because they are not returning home with any sickness. But for those who go and come every day with symptoms of cold, fever, and they see they are coughing, these are the ones that can create problems because they go home and then they give it to parents who cannot be in marks with them for 24/7. So I think that area needs to be looked at very well. If we have to work against this COVID, reduce the numbers, reduce the deaths, and we have to tackle the educational system, then we must look at places where protocol implementation is difficult. And I think 6 years and below is something that we really have to look at again.
And how urgent is this call, Dr. Michael Owusu?
Well, I think that in the last president's announcement, he did mention that some of the measures, what we call some of the suppressive measures, with the hope that these measures will lead to reduction in new cases, reduction in deaths, reduction in hospitalization. It's almost been over a week now, and things do not seem to be getting better, and things for me is rather getting worse. So I will expect that in the next president's announcement, if there are areas the president will have to look at, then possibly this is the area to concern. I mean, UNICEF and WHO has made it clear that for children who are in kindergarten, they don't even advise them to be in masks because it can affect their psychological well-being and development because they need to study the movement of the mouth and allow the muscles and the other nerves to grow properly. So if such children are not even encouraged to put on masks for their psychosocial development, then it tells you that it is difficult that even one person has an infection, you cannot manage, you cannot control, and you can talk to the teachers. It's difficult to tell 1 year, 2-year-olds to put on masks throughout the period. They are doing their best, but it's not workable. But if we have to look at defeating this virus, then I think that these children can serve as precursors and can trigger infections at homes and cause many parents who are doing their own thing and observing their protocols to rather fall sick from these children. And that is why I think that in perhaps the next president's announcement, we have to look at this area and begin to observe how best help those who are able to manage the protocol and implement well.
I'm grateful that you joined us. Dr. Michael Owusu is virologist with KCCR and lecturer at KNUST. Still to come in this bulletin, price of crude oil surges to pre-pandemic level after hitting an all-time low.
It's working, and it will work for the short term. As to long term, there are too many variables that affect oil prices.
We'll take a break on Joy News Prime. We're back with business with Gifty and Dad. And you're welcome. Let's do some business. I am Gifty and Apia. In this edition, the price of oil has recovered to its pre-pandemic levels, having hit an all-time low last year. While demand for oil is still lower than normal, there are hopes of a speedier than expected economic recovery as vaccines are rolled out. Brent crude is currently trading around $60 per barrel. So what are the drivers of the oil price surge? Take a look at these infographics. Now, first of all, factors. The number one factors include sharp upturn in expectations for economic and oil demand recovery on signs that COVID-19 may finally be in retreat. And the COVID-19 crisis has been devastating for the petroleum industry. And last year, prices slumped below zero with more than 1 billion surplus barrels. Number two, demand has been rising in parts of the world, particularly in Asia. And the third point is that there are efforts by oil-producing nations, particularly in Saudi Arabia, to limit output
and that has been a contributory factor. Now, since agreeing to the cut in production last April, producers have held back a cumulative 2.1 billion barrels of oil, leading to decreasing stockpiles. Now, the fourth point is, as consumers are buying more online, this has spurred demand for fuel to power delivery trucks and vans, along with cargo ships and freight trains. The e-commerce boom has also caused a spike in plastic packaging, which is made using oil products. Now, IES on well, that's essentially the details there for you, the breakdown of why there's an expected boom in that particular industry. In the meantime, a study by the Institute of Energy Security has shown the depreciation of the city, taxes and levies have pushed fuel prices over 347% in 10 years. Elizabeth Sum is a research analyst with the Institute. She explains further.
Over a decade, we've seen the introduction of the special petroleum tax, which was in 2015. There was an upward adjustment of the road fund levy, the energy debt recovery levy, price stabilization and recovery levy, and 100% increase in burst margins. So even though within this decade, Ghana went for price deregulation of a downstream sector, which slowed down the increase in prices because of these tax and levies addition, and also the city depreciation. The city has depreciated by approximately 265% over the decade. What it means is that our importers, as our BDCs, are burning more cedi to get the same quantity of products they normally buy. And so this cost will be passed on to the OMCs, the oil marketing companies, who will then pass it on to us. And that means we are paying more. So these two major factors are the cause of our increase in prices. COVID helped us reduce the price, because at the end of 2020, the average price of gasoline stood at 4.76 cedi per liter, as against 2015's 5.18 cedi per liter. So had it not been for COVID, we would be paying more than 6 cedis per liter.
Well, some explanation there on what's happening with the oil prices there. Now, the reported cases of piracy and kidnapping on the Gulf of Guinea is a contributory factor as well to the high shipping cost for exporters and importers. The situation has compelled the United Nations Development Programme and the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping and Training Center to organize a capacity training for stakeholders to ensure safety in the Gulf of Guinea. Here is more in this report.
The Gulf of Guinea is one of the critical corridors across the world as a result of factors including the oil and gas sector. According to the United Nations Development Programme, the strategic location also makes it a major trade route for the export and import of food items, humanitarian assistance, and manufactured goods. The training is part of a series of contributions by both the UNDP and the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center to control crime on maritime operations and thereby reduce the cost of doing business on the Gulf of Guinea. Head of Conflict Management Program, Faculty of Academic Affairs and Research at Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center, John Mark Poko, has been explaining the importance of the program.
What it does is that it makes the waters in the Gulf of Guinea unsafe for sea-based transportation. And when that happens, shipping lines will have to pay higher premium for crew on vessels that bring our cargo, the sugar, the milk, all the things that you see on the market. Also, the transportation cost goes up, so eventually it will hit the cost of living of you and I. And so we are doing our bit to support the process for controlling the high levels of piracy in our waters.
And that'll be all for business news on Joy News Prime this hour. We're back after 8. Do stay. I am Gifty Ando Apia. Aisha Ibrahim will continue with the news.
Time to bring you sports here on Joy News Prime. I am Hans Mensah, and the Ghana Football Association has indefinitely closed down the Trimesi Sports Complex at Nsuatre after Sunday's unacceptable behavior of home fans during a Division 1 League match. Fans of Nsuatreman FC allegedly pelted the away team Real Tamale United after the final whistle. Players and officials bled profusely and sustained degrees of injuries. The Ghana Football Association prosecutor is expected to review all the report and press charges against the club. Communications Director of RTU, Say Mubarak, has lauded the swift decision of the GFA.
Well, I think that was quite quick. Right after the game and when these incidents were happening, we managed to get footages and pictures of this, and then we kept them on some of the platforms we know will go straight to the Ghana Football Association. Well, the first thing they did was to call their away team, that is Real Tamale United, to check on them and whether they have been able to get out of the town. In fact, we did confirm to them that we are on the way to Techiman. Prosper Harrisonado, who is the General Secretary, actually condemned the act. He stood on behalf of the Ghana Football Association to indicate that they were going to work on this, but we never expected that it would come so soon. Before we go to Techiman, we had received reports of this ban. I think that it is the right, thing that the FA have taken, because honestly speaking, I'm just about leaving here to the training camp, because the fans of RTU since yesterday have been very, very angry about this situation, and we are aware that Nsuatreman is coming to Tamale on Sunday to play BYFC. Already fans of the club are preparing to attack them. We want to meet them and show them the statement from the FA. We do not want such things to happen in our game. We have condemned it, and we do not want Real Tamale United to suffer fate. So we are meeting them. But honestly speaking, I think that I am very, very happy the statement has come out. This definitely will serve as a deterrent to other clubs that have similar agenda in relation to beating fans and players or officials of our team.
Head coach of Karola United, Augustine Evans Adote, has told Joy Sports their defeat to Kumasi Asante Kodoko is a wake-up call. According to him, losing 2-0 at home to the Porcupine Warriors serves as a warning as the season unfolds.
They have a good leader like me. I'm not saying I'm a good leader. They know me as a good leader. Talking of motivation, I inspire them, I motivate them on and off the field of play. So even in my absence, I was prevented from coming here today. I'm in the camp of National Under 20. It was my head coach who permitted me that. Adote, you have a serious game, you have to go, because your board is calling. They want you to be there. I came, we lost. And before my coming, the players were calling. Although I have good assistants in the presence of Abugre and Sego, still they wanted to see me. Well, no target has been set for me. I was employed, contracted last March. Unfortunately, this COVID pandemic cropped in and things went off. I was recalled again. I don't think now the season is starting. We want you to come and then take over as the head coach. Ever since, honestly speaking, things are going the way I expect. I'm happy. They are nice to me. I'm also nice to them. But talking of target setting, we started the league on a bright note. Until today, I don't know where we are now.
Now, Communications Director of the Ghana Football Association, Henry Asantichum, has explained why the football governing body banned some clubs from playing their home matches at home with supporters. The FA took a decision to ban Hartlefolk, Mediama and now Karola United for flouting the association's COVID-19 match day protocols. He spoke to my colleague Mubarak Haruna.
The 2020-2021 football season commenced in mid-November last year as matches were played behind closed doors due to the spike in COVID-19 cases. However, in January, fans were allowed to return to the various stadia after government lifted the ban on a condition that only 25% of fans will be allowed with strict adherence to the COVID-19 protocols. In the last 15 days, Accra House of Folk, Midiama Sporting Club and Kerala United have failed to enforce fans to adhere to the protocols at their respective home grounds. As a result, the aforementioned clubs have been penalized by the GFA to play their home games behind closed doors until the disciplinary committee comes out with a ruling. The Ghana Football Association Communications Director, Henry Asante Chum, believes the culpable clubs have themselves to blame.
For the start of the league, we put a document together. The medical committee of the FA, led by Dr. Baba, put a detailed document as regards the role of clubs and the safety and security officers of the various clubs. House of Folk versus Olympics, that was not respected. So the issues are different. The House of Folk Olympics game, there were multiple of, indiscipline. First of all, they sold more than the allocated tickets of 25% out of the 40,000 capacity. That was wrong. Secondly, social distancing protocols were not followed judiciously. When Midiama played against Hearts of Folk, yes, we had our eyes at the Akun Park in Takwa, and what we observed was that Veronica buckets were provided, fans were in nose mask, but as soon as they entered the stadium, some of them removed it. We have seen pictures where the fans is either they've dropped it to the jaw level or they don't have it at all.
Well, that's it, but some action going on in the Ghana Premier League. Elmina Sharks and Brecon Chelsea currently locked at 1-1. Elsewhere, on the global stage in the Club World Cup semi-final is 2-0 in favor of Bayern Munich against Al Ahly. Robert Lewandowski with the 2 goals for the German and European champion. There's more sports at myjoyonline.com/sports. My name is Hans Mensando. Many thanks for your time.
And it's time now for Showbiz. Becky's here with the very latest. Hello, Becky.
Hello to you, Aisha. How are you?
Beautiful dress.
Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate your lovely comment.
Too much?
Yes. So, Aisha, today is exactly 3 years. Ebony reigns. Remember Dan Solati's Ebony
Definitely.
Reigns? Yeah, we got the
very
news that,
sad.
She had an accident together with a friend and a policeman.
Unfortunately,
and so,
died.
Yeah, unfortunately. And lots of people have been, remembering her on social media, paying tributes to her for the impacts that she's made before leaving this earth. So, yeah, so that's what's been happening on social media.
Very energetic, Ebony.
Which of her songs do you remember?
Okay.
So here's a few songs of hers. Let me allow her to sing the song. Some of her songs. We put some of her songs together. Some of the songs that you will remember Ebony for.
Goodness, may her soul rest in peace.
Continue to rest in perfect
Ebony
peace.
was so energetic, beautiful, lovely.
Yeah.
I mean, she can't be on the stage whilst you're seated on. I mean, it's not possible. You just have to be on your feet.
I agree.
May her soul rest in
yeah,
peace.
may her soul rest in peace. Actually, let's move on. Let's talk about Kiddy. Kiddy has been reacting to the comments he made on OKFM, saying that he won't marry his baby mama. He says that he didn't mean any disrespect.
They asked me if I'm planning to marry my baby mama, and I was like, no. That's all I said. And people, our Ghana people, they've taken the thing way out of context. The backlash, the insults, all we can do. So many pages, I was like, oh. And I don't think I said anything wrong because I was asked the question and I answered. But I feel like a lot of the insults and backlash, I feel like it's stemming from people generally thinking that marriage is a gift from a man to a woman. So if you think that Kiddy marries a woman and then honors the woman, then you're going to insult Kiddy if Kiddy says, I don't want to marry this woman. And marriage, everybody knows, it's a very respectable institution. It's very honorable, but it's supposed to be two people deciding that they want to be together to get married. It's not a man saying, I want to marry you to honor you. That's not what it is. It's not a gift. I'm not gifting a woman by getting married to her. You don't know what her plans are. You don't know what my plans are. People are assuming that she wants it and I don't want it. So they are insulting me for it. Everybody has the right of choice. She's an amazing person. I respect her. I like her. But maybe it has to take two of us to decide if we want this or not. It's not just about me. You get it?
Well, but what else could be the meaning of no?
Yeah, well, I have a
no means no.
Yeah, but you know, Ghanaians are like, oh, okay, because you had a baby with the lady,
you should marry.
Yeah,
I mean, you can't judge because you don't know what agreement they had before having the baby.
Yes, Ochiame Kwame was on Daybreak Hits this morning, and he's been talking about the entertainment industry, the showbiz industry. The reason why he thinks that investors are not, you know, coming forth to invest is because there's lack of unity in the industry.
This industry, I think I group it into two: professionalism and unity. So let me speak about unity first. So two rappers fight amongst themselves and they go and pay 3,000 cedis to record a song insulting the other one. Then the song comes on radio and it's a big hit and it's trending on Twitter and YouTube in the millions. And the other rapper also goes to do the same. What happens is that immediately radio gets content. There's a great opportunity for you to gossip so that MTN pays how much they paid to advertise for 4 seconds. You know, and then the bloggers pick it. And then they also get clickbaits. And Google AdSense pays them. And everybody in the chain is going to get something. But 2 weeks later, when the artist tries to get sponsorship from MTN, MTN says, no, you are the guy fighting with those people. If we do a collaboration with you, how do we know that in 3 weeks you will not go and do a song to diss us? So we are trying to push an agenda at Parliament, trying to get a bill passed. And politicians are saying, what? There are no schools in Tumu. Why should we spend 30 hours of parliamentarians' time talking about these rappers who are always insulting themselves on Twitter?
All right.
Shami Kwame there on Daybreak Hits.
Thank you so much for bringing us Showbiz, Becky. That'll be it for Showbiz. And that'll be it for those of you watching on Joy Prime. The news continues on Joy News. Now to the rest of our stories. There's shortage of tomatoes in Kumasi markets as importers and transporters of the commodity embark on strike. The importers embarked on industrial action protesting violent highway robbery attacks on the Kumasi-Bolgatanga Burkina Faso route. As all vehicles are grounded, access to tomatoes in the retail market is becoming a tedious task for traders. And now Jima has been speaking to retailers of tomatoes at the Swami market and has filed this report.
In recent times, importers and transporters of tomatoes have come under highway attacks. Some have been killed and others maimed while traveling to neighboring Burkina Faso to import tomatoes. In the past 1 month alone, 2 people have died and 8 others injured in robbery attacks on the highway. To draw attention to their security concerns, the Tomato Importers and Transporters Association embarked on an industrial action last Friday. Emmanuel Oseitufo is leader of the group.
We are going to park our vehicles. There won't be any tomato coming from Burkina Faso to this country. It's only the military escort can save our lives. If not, we are not going.
Before the recent action, retailers were recording challenges in accessing tomatoes due to reduced importation for fear of armed robbery attacks. Tomato retailers have had to adjust their prices to make up for the price hikes.
We had to track down a vehicle from Burkina at midnight before we were able to secure some tomatoes to retail.
No more bitoy. Kanen nan kawenka 5 cedi. Say 10 cedi. Wo share yento. Wo se ne board yet it was yes na dey so. Ade be chen bia so na eplo. because budget is second yes raban because I can dia
if they go on strike, it will affect our business, but they have to do so because their lives are at risk.
We used to sell a pile at 5 cedis. Now it's going for 10 cedis, and our customers are not buying because it's expensive. They are getting rotten.
60 and 50.
If they go on strike, we will go hungry, but they can't risk their lives. Their wives and children will not allow them to travel on the route and die.
From Kumasi for Joy News, Nana Ojima reporting.
Police in the Upper East region say they have extended an invitation to tomato traders to enable them discuss security measures for the traders as they travel between Ghana and Burkina Faso to purchase tomatoes. This comes after 2 trucks carrying tomatoes and cement were attacked by robbers last week and the drivers killed. Upper East Regional Police PRO ASP David Frank Ochri tells Joy News correspondent Albert Sori that a police patrol team assigned to Palugu stretch of the Bolga-Tamale Road, where the attack took place, were at another location when they received a call about the incident. He says by the time the patrol team arrived at the scene, the robbers had fled.
It came to us as a surprise, and we have taken a serious notice of that, and we are doing everything possible to ensure this incident do not occur.
What exactly happened? We have heard from some of the traders themselves that 2 drivers were attacked, and they were, I think one of them was killed, or is it 2 of them that were killed? Can you elaborate on it?
Yes, what happened is that the police patrol from the regional headquarters are on the route, and there is one also from the Tongo District Police Command. That section of the road falls under the command of the Tongo District Police Command. So they were on patrols, 24-hour patrol on that section of the route. In fact, at the section where this motor attack was made on this tomato traders, police had just left the scene towards the Tongo Township direction, where they received a call from an unknown caller that some DAF truck had been attacked, loaded with a wooden tomato, wooden crate. That's the information we had, wooden crates. It was not specified whether it was a tomato crate or something, a wooden crate on net, and that they needed police attention. Police abandoned wherever they were going and returned back to the scene. When they got there, unfortunately, the alleged robbers had fled, leaving 2 DAF trucks, one articulated truck loaded with cement, and the other, as I said, with a wooden truck.
And still on highway robbers, some bus drivers who have been speaking to Joy News say it is now dangerous to drive on the highways, especially at night, because of the numerous reports of robberies. Last week, armed robbers attacked a truck driver on the Bolga-Tamale highway as he headed from Kumasi to Burkina Faso with passengers to purchase tomatoes. Another driver on a trailer truck loaded with bags of cement was also shot. Both died. The robbers also robbed the passengers and inflicted wounds on some of them. Take a listen to those drivers who say the incidences have made them scared.
Yeah, it is happening. It is happening. It's really happening. Because normally the customers, if they were coming from their various home or town coming to the markets, armed robbers will be attacking them. I'm scared. Yeah, if it happens like that, if you call police too, it keeps long before police will come and help you. And whatever they want to do, they do it before police come.
It is real. You know, I normally left my hometown, Joje, around 2 to 3 o'clock in the morning to Accra. There was a time this thing happened, we all stop on the road. When I get into Botama, we all park over there. And we were expecting the police to come up. Those vehicles coming from Accra also park. So we are at the middle. One of our colleague drivers called Mustafa was shot. So anytime we take off from our hometown, normally fear. We used to be afraid to the extent that at times for me, when I leave Georgia, I come and stop at Tajevu for another vehicle to come and join me so that we move together.
As a driver, sometimes you load your passengers making a journey and you reach a point whereby they will tell you that, or you see some cars signaling to you that there's some armed robbers on the road. So you have to sometimes you have to park the car and wait until they get off the road, or sometimes unexpectedly you go and then enter into them. Then they rob the passengers, even you the drivers. If sometimes you'll be working for sometimes and the money that you'll be working throughout the week, it is with you. They took all the money away from you. It disturbs us. It's not only one particular side away, or no, they haven't stationed at one particular place. They have been roaming about. So any place they can stop and then rob.
It affects us a lot. Simple because when you heard on the road that the armed robbers are on the way, you can't drive anymore. You have to park somewhere for the meantime, or to call the police to assist you so that you can pass by. Sure, we are scared. We are scared. Not me alone. All the drivers that drive on the highways. Anytime I thought that we hear that the robbers are around, we are scared.
Let's talk more about COVID-19, because the number of cumulative COVID-19 cases of the Bono East region since the outbreak of the pandemic stands at 845 with 15 deaths. Regional Health Director Dr. Fred Adomako-Boateng disclosed to Joy News' Anna Sabet that even though there has been improvement with regards to the adherence to the safety protocols, the region has inadequate facilities at the district levels to manage cases. There's more in the following report.
If you look at the COVID situation in Bono East, it's not entirely different from what we are seeing in the country. But nevertheless, our numbers are not comparable to what Accra and Kumasi are experiencing. Since November, the middle of November, the figure that we had was static, was there till the beginning of this, actually the second week in January. So you can see, and this is quite deviation from the first case that we referred last year, where we had one and it took about 2-3 weeks before we had the third and fourth. And if you really look at our graph, you can see it's beginning to rise. And we know at least once you see about 15-14 people, you can project the people who are exposed.
In terms of adherence to the safety protocols, Dr. Fred Adomako-Boateng tells me the situation has improved over the past few weeks.
The protocols, I must admit, is improving. It's really improving. Even among health workers, the places that have been, it's improving. But I think we really have to quantify. I think now people are getting it. But we are not where we want to be. The understanding is dawning on people that, look, COVID is really real and COVID kills. The young people can also get COVID now, as compared to last year, where people were doubtful in terms of what we were discussing. I must say that there is improvement. If cases are supposed to be managed in hospitals and we don't even have the hospitals, then obviously, from the word go, you are already defeated. So that's one of our fears. Secondly, you see the way the cases are coming now as compared to initial cases. They are coming in huge numbers. And that's what we have to avoid. Because imagine that you have about 50 people at a go that you have to support them. So that you see that people start dying, not because the virus is killing them. It's because we can't provide that support. And so we cannot afford to go there, one, because we don't have that level of expertise in Bonois, all our hospitals, with the exception of, let's say, Holy Family Teaching Hospital. So you can see by in the infrastructure and the skill that we have, we are at disadvantage.
He therefore encouraged the people to strictly adhere to the preventive protocols as prescribed by health authorities.
Because of you can have unnecessary death from mothers delivering. You can have unnecessary death from cardiac failure, emergency surgery, accidents. So you see all kind of vicious cycle that the COVID has put us into. So it's important as a region. Our main goal and target should be prevention.
Reporting for Joy News, Anas Sabit, Tichima.
Welcome once again with the business update. I'm Gifty Ando Apia. Now, Ghana's Cocoa Board says it is in advanced talks with the banks to draw down the rest of the syndicated loan to pay the licensed buying cocoa companies the rest of the seed fund. This will enable the licensed buying companies to also make payments to the cocoa farmers and subsequently reduce the anxiety within the industry. Joy Business has learned the funds may come in by the end of this week or next week. Cocoa Board has already admitted delaying payments to some licensed buying companies, a development that has created apprehension in the cocoa industry. The companies received the first tranche of the syndicated loan at the beginning of the main cocoa crop season in October last year, and they were expected to receive the second tranche at the end of December or January this year to facilitate cocoa purchases from the cocoa farmers. And away from cocoa, let's talk about coffee. Now, coffee grows well where cocoa grows, but Ghana exported less coffee, worth only $34,000 in 2018. Coffee farmers find it shocking that government is not investing in the coffee value chain as it requires minimal capital. President of the Coffee Federation of Ghana, Chief Nathaniel Ebo Nsako, has been speaking with my colleague Ishura Ado on Joy Prime.
The coffee export revenue for Ghana for 2015 was abysmally around $3,000 US. Whereas in 2016, we hit very high, about 1.4 million. Then 2017, we had 55,000 US, and then 2018, 34,000. So you can see that we have been struggling. Wow. Whereas our other, competitors, that is other African countries, are doing very well. They contribute hugely to their GDP. Ghana does just about 0.2% of, our contribution to the GDP. But in Burundi, I'm trying to make some analysis for you to see. In Burundi, they make about 35.6%. Ethiopia does 18.9%. Uganda does 17.9%. Rwanda does 9%, and Kenya does 3.6%. Now, you mentioned that in Kenya, when you travel there, they don't joke with their coffee. You go to Ethiopia, they don't joke with their coffee. Ghana has done very well in the area of cocoa, but when it comes to ranking second in the world, but when it comes to coffee, we are not even on the list when it comes to coffee.
Now,
other countries.
What is the potential for growth in that space, especially from the little I've read? It seems that the Robusta variety is one that easily grows here in Ghana because it's not as temperamental as the Arabica.
Precisely. Our landscape is good for Robusta, and Robusta is very resilient. Coffee does well, cocoa does, but coffee is a very strong and resilient kind of crop, which is able to even resist the climate change. And so areas where cocoa is struggling, coffee can easily do very, very well. Even in our lands where, Galamsey has destroyed them, when you grow coffee there, it will do very well, especially the Robusta. That's the type that does very well in Ghana. There are few places where they try to do the Arabica in Ghana, but then it's not anything to write home about. We have in Ghana, the variety that we grow is mainly the Robusta. And I believe that with the climate change conditions where, cocoa lands are being quickly depleted in terms of not doing well, I think we should take a second look at coffee, and it's going to give us our money's worth, and it's worth our while. Coffee is very easy to handle. Cocoa farmer might have done cocoa for ages, for decades, and may not have seen the processing of it or the product of cocoa on his table. But with coffee, once you do coffee farming, you can brew some yourself. The processing is not as cumbersome and difficult as cocoa, and therefore it doesn't require huge capital.
Insurado in that interview there. Well, beginning today, all ECOWAS travelers arriving in Ghana will pay $50 for the coronavirus PCR test instead of $150. However, those coming from outside West Africa will pay $150 for the test. The Ghana Airport Authority in a statement said airlines who board passengers without PCR test results or transport passengers with positive PCR test result into the country will be fined $3,500 per passenger. Non-Ghanaians may also be refused entry and returned to the point of embarkation at a cost to the airline. However, Ghanaians may be allowed entry but subject to 14 days, will be allowed subject to 14 days of mandatory quarantine at a designated facility. And it's time now for your money tips on Money Lab.
On Money Lab today, we continue with our financial wellness series. Today, we want to look at the anchor of savings. Savings has proven to be one of the critical things anybody who wants to become financially well must do and do well. Now, it is not about how much you put aside in your savings. It is about how consistent you do it. So anybody who has a financial goal in this new year to receive or to earn a particular amount, I would advise you to begin with savings and make sure you do it consistently. Why? Anybody who is currently at 25 years who would want to earn $1 million by, say, age 60 can do that with just 89 cedis if they are consistent. Another person who may even be just 45, who is unable to put any amount down, would be a pauper by the time he turns 60. So use the channel of mobilizing your own income through savings.
Consistent saving, it is, I bet it's some good tips for you right there. And that's it for business. I am Gifty Ando Apia. Aisha Ibrahim is still here with more.
And as I wrap up the bulletin tonight, my name is Aisha Ibrahim. Many thanks for watching. For more news, log on to myjoyonline.com. You get all the updates. Enjoy the rest of our programs.